we got these tapes in the post from Cabaret Voltaire, and loved what they were doing, and it was obvious that they were in the same mental place we were. So we said, we don't have enough money to bring this out as a vinyl album, but we'll do it as a cassette. So we did a cassette edition of their first album, and we gave one to Jeff Travis at Rough Trade, and he loved it, so he signed Cabaret Voltaire to Rough Trade Records. And they did an album, not a single, although they also did Nag Nag Nag. And then we got a letter from Clock DVA, or Clock DVA, and they were in Sheffield saying, this is what we're doing, and it was avant-garde but more Beefheart-like. Oh wow, great. So we did a cassette by them, and then they got a record deal. And all of a sudden, there was this little movement going on of people who'd been tucked away in different obscure places, doing much more experimental music, most of them influenced by William Burroughs, actually. And that became our little extended family. Zev, the percussionist, he ended up being involved, and it just spread out like that. And the word industrial very quickly became this adjective for something that had electronic music involved or drum machines involved, not necessarily because the style or the song content or the structure of the music was anything like ours. It was just a word that somehow was convenient to delineate music that wasn't based on the rock and roll band with the drummer and the guitars. So it was very loose at the beginning in terms of what people thought industrial music was. Industrial music was Throbbing Gristle and Pals, and that was all it was. But then we got Monty Kazaza to do a single for Industrial Records, and so that spread the message to his friends in Oakland and Berkeley, because he took his record and went, look what's going on with our friends in London, they're doing all this stuff and it's called industrial music. And his friends formed a band called Factrix in the Bay Area, and Factrix called their music industrial music, and they were friends with Search and Destroy magazine, Vale, who not long afterwards changed it into Research and started doing books. And suddenly there's an industrial music scene in the Bay Area parallel to the punk scene. Then we're visiting with Monty in 1977 in California, having a little break. And he takes me to Los Angeles, and we meet these people from Slash magazine who are doing this punk rock newspaper but have just signed the Germs as their first band on their record label. And the Germs are wearing Throbbing Gristle t-shirts and badges, and they've got, even on the cover, one of them's wearing a TG badge. And suddenly LA has a punk and industrial scene. But each time it mutates into the local interpretation of it because it's so loose. It doesn't really have any definition. It's just not rock. That's really all it was. Not rock. Tending to use some drum machines or synths, and lyrically more extreme. That was basically all that was going on at the beginning, but it kind of moved town to town at the beginning, just like a virus. You know, I was Typhoid Mary. And next thing we knew, it bounced around the world and bounced right back in our face. And it was everywhere.